For ages, we've sort of watched time leave its mark, especially on our minds, often feeling like, well, there's not much we can do besides maybe slow things down a bit.
Right, the focus has always been on hitting the brakes, not really throwing it into reverse.
Exactly. But what if that dream, that idea of actually reversing the clock, specifically for our brains, what if it's getting, well, a little bit closer?
It's a pretty radical thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost science fiction, moving beyond just prevention or slowing down.
And that's precisely what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack this really fascinating new study. It offers maybe a glimmer of hope for reversing brain aging.
A glimmer, yeah.
We'll get into the details, what they did, what they actually found, and crucially, what it might mean for you listening, but with some very important caveats, too.
Definitely need the caveats. And this is all coming from a really interesting collaboration based on a new note detailing research from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging.
Leaders in aging biology.
Absolutely. And DeepMind, the AI powerhouse, their work just got published in Aging Cell.
Okay, so the big question, can we actually rewind the brain's clock? How did this Buck Institute and DeepMind team up even approach this massive challenge?
Well, their goal was super ambitious. They wanted to find compounds, actual substances that could reverse what's called the transcriptional age of cells.
Transcriptional age. Okay, what does that actually mean in, simpler terms?
Think of it like this. Your genes are like a massive library of instructions. As you get older, the pattern of which books are being read or how loudly they're being read, that's gene expression, it changes. It creates a kind of molecular signature of age. Transcriptional age measures that signature.
Ah, okay. So they weren't trying to change the books themselves, the DNA, but change which books are being actively used and how.
Exactly. They wanted to see if they could find something to push those patterns back, make them look more like the patterns you'd see in younger cells.
And this is where DeepMind comes in, right? This wasn't just guys in lab coats mixing chemicals.
Not at all. This is where it gets really cutting edge. Instead of the slow, traditional method of testing drug after drug.
Yeah, which takes forever.
Right. They use machine learning. DeepMind applied AI to analyze just enormous data sets of brain gene activity.
Wow. So the AI acted like a super detective, basically, sifting through all this complex biological data.
Precisely. Looking for patterns, identifying potential targets, and predicting which compounds might actually work to reverse that aging signature. Much, much faster than we could ever do manually. It's a whole new way of doing drug discovery for aging.
And this AI detective work, it pointed them toward a specific combination, not just one drug.
Yeah, that's key. It wasn't just one magic bullet. It identified a promising trio of drugs.
Okay, intriguing. What are these three?
So the combination involves, first, tranylcypromine. It's actually an older antidepressant, and it affects how certain brain chemicals, neurotransmitters, are broken down.
Okay.
Second is 5-azacitidine. This one is really interesting because it messes with DNA methylation.
Methylation. So that's epigenetics, right? The stuff that sits on the genes and tells them what to do.
Exactly. Think of them like little volume knobs or on-off switches for genes. As we age, those settings get kind of messed up. 5-azacitidine seems to help reset some of those epigenetic marks.
Got it. And the third one?
The third is a class called JNK inhibitors. JNK is part of a stress response pathway in cells. Think of it like a cellular alarm system.
Okay.
And that system can get kind of stuck in the on position or become dysregulated with age. So these inhibitors help to dampen that chronic stress signal.
So 3 different drugs hitting 3 different aspects of aging: neurotransmitters, epigenetics, and cellular stress. A sort of multi-pronged attack.
That's the idea, targeting the complexity of aging from multiple angles at once.
Right. So the theory sounds good. The AI found the candidates. But did it actually work? What happened when they gave this cocktail to aged mice?
Well, at the molecular level, the results were pretty striking. They found that in the brains of these aged mice, particularly in regions important for, memory and learning.
Like the hippocampus?
Areas like that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The gene expression patterns, the transcriptional age we talked about, actually started to shift. They began to look more like the patterns seen in much younger mice.
Wow. So like partially hitting a molecular reset button?
Kinda, yeah. At least in terms of these specific gene activity markers, it wasn't a complete reversal, but a definite shift back towards a younger state.
Okay, molecular changes are one thing, but did it actually make the old mice any smarter? Did they see changes in behavior?
That's the really exciting part. Yes, they did. The treated mice showed statistically significant improvements in memory and learning tasks compared to untreated old mice.
Significant improvements? That sounds huge.
Well, it's statistically significant, yes. But it's really important to add the word modest in there.
Ah, okay. So not like they suddenly had perfect recall.
Exactly. The improvements were measurable, they were real, but they weren't, miraculous night and day transformations. Still, the fact that reversing some molecular signs translated into any functional improvement is pretty encouraging.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But this is where we need to pump the brakes a little, right? Because this sounds amazing, almost too good to be true. What are the big warnings here?
Absolutely crucial caveats. First and foremost,
Hmm.
this is mice.
Mm-hmm.
Old mice, yes, but still mice.
And things that work in mice often?
Often don't translate to humans.
Yeah.
That's a hard truth in medical research.
Mhm.
The jump from rodents to people is a huge hurdle.
Yeah.
So this is a very early stage.
Okay. Early stage rodent model. Got it. And you mentioned the improvements were modest.
Yes, modest in size. We're not talking about curing age-related cognitive decline here. Not even close at this stage.
And what about the drugs themselves? You mentioned one was an old antidepressant, another affects epigenetics. Are they safe?
That's another major caveat. These are not harmless substances. 5-azacitidine, the epigenetic one, it's actually a chemotherapy drug.
Whoa, okay. Chemo.
Yeah. And tranylcipramide, the antidepressant, it comes with a list of potentially serious side effects and interactions. These aren't vitamins.
So just to be crystal clear for everyone listening, this drug combination is absolutely not something anyone should be thinking about trying or asking their doctor for.
Not even remotely. These are research compounds used in a lab setting under controlled conditions. They are definitely not suitable for healthy people, and frankly, they're a very, very long way off from potentially being used therapeutically in humans, if ever.
Right, and you need other labs to confirm these findings too, don't you?
Absolutely. Replication is key in science.
Yeah.
And even if everything checks out, human trials would be the next massive step, and that's likely, a decade or more away, if it happens at all.
Okay, so lots of caution needed. But setting aside these specific drugs for a moment, what's the bigger picture? Does the approach itself tell us something important?
I think that's where the real excitement lies, actually. The strategy using sophisticated AI to wade through biological complexity and identify multi-drug combinations to reverse specific aging signatures that feels revolutionary.
So it's less about the specific cocktail and more about a new way of finding potential treatments.
Exactly. It's like having a much smarter map and compass for navigating the incredibly complex landscape of aging biology. It suggests we can be much more targeted and perhaps more effective in how we try to intervene.
It really does feel like a shift, doesn't it? From just trying to slow things down, manage decline, to actually thinking about, reversal at a molecular level.
It is a paradigm shift. For years, the idea of reversing aging was, like we said, pure science fiction. Now we're seeing actual molecular evidence, even if it's just in mice and preliminary, that suggests maybe, just maybe, it's scientifically tractable.
It's kind of mind-bending moving from sci-fi towards actual rigorous scientific investigation.
It really is. It shows the power of combining these computational tools, like AI, with deep biological knowledge from places like the Buck Institute.
Okay, so this future possibility is fascinating, but like you said, it's a decade or more away. Let's bring it back to today. For you listening right now, what can be done? While we wait for these potential breakthroughs, what are the solid, evidence-backed things for brain health?
That's such an important point. Because while this research is incredibly cool, it doesn't change what works now. And there are definitely things with solid evidence behind them.
Like?
Well, regular physical activity is huge. Exercise is consistently linked to better cognitive function and brain health. Then there's diets, specifically things like omega-3 fatty acids.
Found in fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds.
Exactly. Those seem crucial for brain cell structure and function. Getting enough quality sleep is non-negotiable. That's when the brain does a lot of its cleanup and memory consolidation.
Right, sleep's critical.
And staying mentally engaged, learning new things, challenging your brain, social interaction, that all helps maintain cognitive resilience. It keeps those neural networks firing.
And I think I read some more, and maybe even simple things like green tea could have some minor benefits.
Yeah, there's some research there too. Green tea has compounds, catechins, and things that might have some neuroprotective effects, maybe even subtly influencing gene expression. Of course, it's nowhere near the scale of what these potent drugs are trying to achieve in the study we discussed, but it fits into that overall picture of lifestyle choices mattering.
So the message is, these foundational things are still the best bet right now for supporting your brain health day to day.
Absolutely. They lay the groundwork, and they are within your control today.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. It seems like this deep dive has shown us researchers are, maybe for the first time, starting to genuinely rewind molecular markers of aging, at least in a lab setting, in living brains, which is wow.
It is. And even with all the caveats, the very fact that scientists are successfully doing this, even in a limited way in mice, it just opens up a whole new chapter.
Yeah.
It makes you really wonder what might be possible down the road for a longer, healthier cognitive lifespan.
It really does broaden the horizon of what we think is possible. So while you can't quite turn back your own brain's clock just yet, maybe it's time to put the kettle on, make some green tea perhaps,
Couldn't hurt.
and raise a quiet toast to the scientific possibilities that lie ahead.